Okay, everybody, so welcome to the webinar. This is a social media webinar, and our topic today is how to use social media to find new customers. That's our focus. So we'll be focusing on demonstrators, two types of demonstrators, or two purposes, and that is the first one is those who want to start finding online customers, or those who want to increase their success at finding online customers. And the second one, we'll mainly focus on the first one, but we will get to the second one, and that is those who are hoping to use social media to bring customers to their live events, classes, retreats, workshops, that sort of thing. So we're going to address those two, and we're going to do this panelist style. So I have a panel of social media experts, and you can see them. I'll introduce them. Connie Stewart. Connie Stewart is from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. That's pretty cool. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, right?
Everybody sing.
And she just celebrated her 1 million CSV milestone. So big applause. We can't hear you, but big applause. Congratulations, Connie. Erica Serwin. She's from Helotes, Texas, and she's a Gold Elite demonstrator, and she's been working on social media, mainly social media now for the last 7 years, for more than 7 years. The last one is Allison Sullivan, and she's a Canadian like myself from New Westminster, British Columbia. Now, Allison served on the original let me give you some history about Allison. She served on the original Canada focus group way back in 2001 when we were thinking of bringing Stampin' Up! Into Canada. She was on the original focus group, and so she was one of the first demonstrators to join in Canada. In Canada, we start our demonstrator ID numbers at 1 million. Allison's number is 1,000,007. I can hear the applause. Okay, I know some of you, most of you are probably from the US, and so you're concerned, does Allison speak American? And yes, she does, and I do also. So we both speak American, so you can relax. Okay, let's start the questions. What I'd like to do to start out is just have what I call a lightning round. I ask a question and get a quick, short answer from the three panelists. So here's the question. In 60 seconds or less, tell us what you believe is the most important advice you could give about using social media to find new customers. What is the most important advice you could give someone in using social media to find new customers? 60 seconds or less. Let's start with Connie.
You know, when it comes to Facebook, I think probably your number one thing is you've got to be visible. People need to see you. People need to be able to find you. And I think the key to that is creating really great graphics and photos, posting videos, things that'll catch people's eye, because just text post on Facebook, they scroll right past it. So I think being visible is great. Also, when you are on Facebook and you do post and people comment, you've got to be engaging and you have to be responsive. So the more engagement posts that you can have on Facebook, the more Facebook's going to want to promote you and get your post out there more. And it's my favorite word, free advertising. So yeah, it's important that we use these type of posts on Facebook. An engagement post could be something like, do you prefer framelits or punches? Do you like Stampin' Write markers or Stampin' Blends? You know, find things that get people talking, something that makes them respond back, because that's what Facebook is looking for, not just a lot of people saw your post. That doesn't do it. You could do other posts that have nothing to do with stamping. If you could have dinner with one person in the world, living or dead, who would it be? Or, you know, would you rather vacation on the beach, in the mountains, or a luxury resort? But the key is when they do respond, that you have to respond back. Leave a comment back for every single person that took the time to comment to you. I always like to say one-sided conversations are not fun. If someone took the time to comment, you need to comment back, and that's really important to Facebook analytics.
Good, I appreciate that, and that's what I'm finding. I have a couple of Facebook groups that I'm doing projects for Stampin' Up! With, and they're closed groups. And what I find is it doesn't take a long time. I don't have to go in all day long. I can just go through and I can make comments and answer questions. And that's the thing, is that people want that interaction. So those are great points. Before I ask Allison for her point of view, I would just say, for those who are listening, note some of these down, because these experts are very successful in what they do. And so they have refined down all of what they know to some key points. So you should be able to note down key points as they go, and then you won't forget, you won't miss that. Just some advice there. Allison, what do you think? What would you advise someone, most important advice, to use social media to find new customers?
Well, the first thing I would advise people to do, if people are going to find you on social media, you have to have a presence on social media. And so the first thing I would recommend is that you think of a business name for all your social media platforms. So this will be where what people use to find you. So it should reflect not just what you do, which is stamping and paper crafting, but who you are. And once you've got that name and it sounds good and you think it'll be great for all your platforms, it becomes your brand. And the most important thing to do once you have that business name is to protect it. Because if you don't protect it, someone can steal it. So you want to register it. And it's really simple, and it's really reasonably priced. It's not an expensive thing to do, but it is vital. So in order to register it, you purchase a domain name. So for instance, stampinup.com is the domain for Stampin' Up. So I would suggest that you get both the .com and also the extension for your own country. So in Canada, that's .ca. I use .ca because I'm in Canada, but I also own .com. And that just protects me from somebody buying it. And the next thing I recommend for people is to start small. If you have never done anything on social media, why don't you just start with our DBWS? The blog feature on there is free because it comes with your store. And if you're going to have a presence and you're going to attract customers, the main point is for them to purchase something. So you need to invest in DBWS. So start by posting on there maybe once a week, then you can increase to twice a week. And then when you're more comfortable, maybe doing it for 2 or 3 months. Yes, 2 or 3 months, because that shows that you're consistent and you're committed. Then you can think about, okay, do I need something a little more powerful for my blogging? And you can go outside of your DBWS by keeping your store, obviously, but using a different platform. And then from there, it's sort of just what you're more comfortable with, what you want to gradually get into. So obviously Facebook, you've all answered, 65% of you, so that's where you go. So Connie talked about that. So Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, there are so many platforms that you can use to draw customers back to your store. So that's what I would do.
Great, that's great. I think there's a key thing in there, and that is everything you do on social media should draw people back to your store, to your products in your store. I see that on Connie's, on your website, right? I see that on your website, where you do, like you say, you offer interesting things, you show some great products, but then as they scroll down and they look at those products, then they start to see, oh, so if you'd like these, here's what you need to make that project. And if you like that,
like a pick,
right? And then this is what you need to make that project, and this is how you can order them, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just, this is very nice and everyone likes that, but you help them facilitate them moving to actually purchasing and then being able to use those products.
Right.
Instead of just
You gotta
flipping
ask
through.
for the order. You have to ask for the order.
Right. So that was really good. That was key, I think, Allison. You mentioned a couple other things. You mentioned your website name and .com and .ca. .com it used to be the only one. .com used to be the only one, and then the internet became so popular that websites all over the world, and so they decided they would do it by country. And .com is generally an American website. And so now .ca would be Canada, .au would be Australia, that sort of thing. But I think this goes into a question I was going to ask a little later, but I think I'll ask it now of Allison. And this brings up the idea that social media has all this terminology, all these new things, and it requires technical skills. And so, Allison, where can we go to find out about this technical stuff? Where can we find out if we have a question like, what is this, or what is that, or how does this work? Where would you advise people to go?
Well, I would say there, 4 words. Google is your friend. Google. Google.
Google is your friend. Okay.
Yeah, usually. So the other day, I taped a Facebook Live for my team, but I wanted to save it to YouTube because then I can put it on different platforms if I have that YouTube link. And things in the computer world, social media world, change faster than I change my hair color, I guess. What worked a month ago sometimes doesn't work. And so I just always go back to Google, and then I don't have to retain all these things in my head. And so I literally typed in, how do I save a Facebook Live from a group to YouTube? That's how long it was.
Right.
And a whole bunch of videos popped up. And I was pleasantly surprised because the one I picked was a person similar in age to me, because usually they're like 14-year-old kids that answer my questions. So that gives me hope for my generation. Anyway, it was a simple 2-minute video, watched it, click, 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 and transferred it. So if you don't know the answer, Google will have an answer. And of course, if you have friends that use, platforms and whatnot, you can always ask them. And of course, there's training out there too.
Right.
But YouTube and Google.
Right. That's great. I know that I have used it a little. My wife uses it a lot. It takes some time and some searching, but you can learn off of all of this. You can just go to Google and literally type in the question. It used to be you had to type in a website, but type in the question and you'll get answers. Yeah. There's a question that's come up that is kind of a general question, and I think it might be good to answer that now. I don't think we have it in our questions. So here's the questions from Anne. It says, how do I choose which is the best social media platform for me and my Stampin' Up! Business? How would you choose? We had them take a poll before we started, and we found most people are using Facebook, some Instagram, some Pinterest. What would be your advice? What would be your advice as which one to start with? Which one was most powerful? What do you think?
I think Erica can answer that one.
Erica. Okay, Erica.
I would say, what do you use most? Are you on Facebook all day or some of the day? Or you spend most of your time on Instagram? Are you on Twitter? And I would start there because you know that platform better than the others. This is your business, and whatever you are comfortable using and whatever you're going to consistently use is going to work for you. You can make any social media platform work for you as long as you use it consistently. So I would say, where are you at? Where are your friends at? Where are your customers at the most? Where do you connect with them the most? For me, it's definitely Facebook. But that may be different for you. So I would say definitely start there. And my other piece of advice for that is to pick one and start there. And once you get that down, choose another one. Don't try to do all of them at one time because you'll lose your mind and you'll be like, forget this. I cannot keep up with this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So master one and then dip your toe over into the Twitter pond or the Instagram pond or whatever. And just slowly build. Don't try to do it all at once.
Right, that's great advice. Facebook is a little different than all of them, but I noticed that Instagram and Pinterest now have the option to show your website and direct them, right? Yeah. It used to just be post the photo, right? But now it is directing somewhat. Facebook's a little different. So like Erica says, start with what you're familiar with, because that then will lead you to that's the shortcut.
Mhm.
And then go to the other ones. That's great. So Erica, we're still on that first lightning round. That's a 15-minute lightning round. So,
I've been waiting for my turn.
so what do you believe is the most important advice you could give about social media to find new customers?
Well, I'll piggyback on what Allison said. Once you have your name, you make your Facebook business page, which I think is probably pretty standard. But then take it a step further and create a group. A group page is treated differently than a business page. You can transition those people who are truly customers or who truly want to follow you over to your group page. And when they belong to your group page, anything you post shows up in their notifications. It's going to show up in their news feed. Facebook years ago changed the way that business pages worked on Facebook, because I think that business pages exploded, like Target, for instance. And if Target posts every 30 minutes, Facebook doesn't want my Facebook feed full of ads, just ads. So our business page, even though we're different than that, they're treating us the same. And they don't want us to basically, as my teenagers say, spam everybody with our stuff. So if you get them to move to your group page, anything you post in your group is going to show up. Whereas if you post the same thing on your business page, only about 1/10 of people who like your page will actually see it. So that would be my biggest piece of advice, is to create a group. The second part of that is to actually create a monthly budget for your social media marketing on Facebook. In that business page, which is important as well, you can pay $5, $10 to boost important posts. Post about upcoming events that you're having, maybe your calendar for the next month, you could boost that $5 or $10. And that's going to ensure that more people actually see that post, as opposed to just a regular post within your Facebook page, business page.
Great. Those are great answers. And I really like the idea of moving people from your Facebook page, which is public, to your Facebook group that is an identified group, right?
Yeah.
So not only do you get that direct connection with them, but they feel special too, right?
Yeah,
They're like, yeah, you're in my group, right?
Right. Yeah.
There may be 1,000 people in your group, but they feel like they've moved into some special standing. So
I always think my group is like my studio, where I would hold a class where we can chat about things. I can post funny pictures. That's something I messed up. I can post it over there and everybody can laugh. And I just kind of feel like it's a tighter knit, and you get to know your customers better there too.
Yeah. So that flies back to what Connie was saying about making a connection, right? To responding to comments, and then that is a great connection. I think people have used that with their team members as well.
Mm-hmm.
So their customers are in one area, but then when you become a demonstrator, you are into another group that kind of makes you feel like you're part of that community. So that's great advice. Now, there's one question that's standing out in my mind, because I know that you guys probably spend, 30, 40, 50 hours a week working on your social media. Am I wrong?
Nope.
No. Okay, so you are all highly successful and you're highly active in social media. What sort of impact could a demonstrator have if they only had, say, 2 to 3 hours a week to work on their social media? Connie, could they do anything? Could they have any advantage? I mean, it'd be fun anyways, right?
I mean, there's a lot to social media, especially if you put everything like YouTube and blogging and all of that under that big social media umbrella. But when you're just talking Facebook has a wonderful thing called scheduling. So you could, let's say you wanted to give an hour or two every week that you were going to set aside that block of time. You could sit down and schedule all of your social media posts during that time for the next week. I think it's wonderful. It's just down there with the post button. I think there's a little arrow on the side and it gives you a drop down and you can schedule those. But that does mean you kind of have to work in advance. So I always keep my eye out for, memes that I think would be great, or engagement post ideas. I have a little file where I start jotting down ideas that would make good engagement post. I keep a file with images that I think would be great or fun. And of course, things from my blog, cards, like Erica was saying, things that I've made, or like you said, things you messed up on. Yeah, put that over there. But you can schedule all that so that you don't have to feel like you're just living in front of the Facebook platform and you just stay there. And of course, the classic, like Allison said, if you can't find anything for the week, Google it. You're going to find something that will work. And also when it comes to that, be consistent. Facebook pays attention to the fact that you're posting at the same time on the same day. So make sure you stay very consistent on when you post. You want to teach people what to expect from you. You want people to see that you're one who's going to follow through. I always like to say we want to get our potential customers to know us, like us, and trust us, because when they do, they want to buy from us. So by being consistent on Facebook, you're going to instill that trust in them. And I think that can be really a big key. But schedule your post. It's going to save you a ton of time.
Great. Thanks. I picked up on one thing, and I know that when we did this live in Orlando, I picked on it and I have written it down. And that's when you said, know, like, and trust.
Yep.
So this is what you're looking for. People are going to come onto your Facebook page and they're not going to know you. They won't know what to expect from you. So your content should always be assuring them, right, that they can trust you. And you do that by getting them to know you and like you, and then being consistent that they can trust you. So I'd like to just review for just a second here a couple of things. There's lots of resources on the internet, Google, for learning the technical. The second thing is you can spend lots of time, but you need to make sure your time is always directing people towards your store, whatever you do. You can spend a little time, but it does take time if you're going to do this, and you'll be learning, right? So that takes time as well. It's very important to be consistent. If you want people to follow you, I think that's a good word, follow, because they're going to be checking on you every once in a while. You need to be there, right? So when I go to a Facebook page and I haven't seen a post for, the last post was 6 months ago, I'm probably not going to scroll down and look, right? And also I want to mention for sure that there is great variability in results. It's like one person can put an hour in and nothing happens. Another person can put an hour in and they'll be successful at their goal, right? So there's going to be variability, and you need to work at it and decide if this is worth it for you. Is the juice worth the squeeze, as they say, right? Or is this something that, well, somebody else, they're succeeding, but I'm not getting there. Okay, Alison, have you got a comment?
Well, just to pick up on what you just said, it is no different than a face-to-face business. We throw out, the old fishing line. We think we got one, and they get off the line and off they go. So it's the same thing. One day you sit down and, oh my gosh, I have an online order, which is really sweet, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like making money while you sleep and you wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Online order. But it's the same as face-to-face. It's not any different. You put in all those hours to find customers to come and stamp with you. And sometimes one day a person you've given up on says, I'd like to sign up. So it's exactly the same.
Right.
That's what I wanted to say. It's not
Right.
anything mysterious.
We want to make sure no one leaves this webinar thinking, if I put in X number of hours, I'll make X number of dollars.
Right.
That's not the way it works, right? There's variability.
Mm-hmm.
So let's continue on talking about how to use social media, but I think there's a question that is getting pretty popular, and it's directed at Erica. This is Beth is asking about Facebook groups. Can I just add people to my group page, or do I invite them and hope they join? Should I do things to entice them to the group by saying more details in group or things like that? What do you think, Erica?
First, I just have to say I love these questions over here. I'm enjoying seeing and you guys thumbs upping them so we know which ones you are really interested in. And I'm glad you asked this because it was in my mind and it didn't come out. When I decided to do a group, that was my big thing. How am I going to get people who really like my page to join my group so that then they'll see it more? So I took a picture of my daughter when she was little. This was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, holding a sign that said, "Join me over on Pink Buckaroo group." And I posted about it, and it got a ton of interaction because it was my daughter's face. It was totally something different. And every few months I post that same picture and direct them to the group, because if they're new to my business page, they may not know about my group. Something I started within the last year, I was doing all my Facebook Lives over in my group. And then I realized I kind of was, maybe that wasn't allowing for growth, because the only people who are seeing my videos are people in my group. So now on Tuesdays, I do a Facebook Live on my business page. And during that live, I talk about my group page and how on Fridays, I do 3 projects during my live. And I always put the link to my group page up there in the description of my Facebook Live. Every time that moves 30, 40 more people over to my group. It's just about finding a way to tell them about your group. And I always say, everyone's welcome, come over. I don't care if they're already a demonstrator, if they have their own demonstrator. You don't know who's going to become a customer in the future. You really don't. So everybody's welcome. And I like to see other demonstrators stuff too. So of course, come over. I haven't added people directly, except like my husband and my best friend, I just add them in. I know that some people don't like that at all. So I would never just add people in. I would maybe message them and say, hey, I noticed you commented on my page. Just want to make sure you knew about my group. But I wouldn't just dump everybody over in, because I have been added to groups of things that I was like, why am I here? I don't want to be here. Right. So I would make sure that you just kind of do it in a fun way, and it's a constant. I'm still, after 3 or 4 years of this, I'm still moving people over, still moving.
Good answer. Thank you. So I have another question here of my own. And let's say, Erica, I'll ask you this first, so get ready.
Okay.
If one of your team members had started a business Facebook page to find new customers, and they're mainly posting projects and photos of their fun events, but they're not seeing any results, what 2 things would you advise her to do to improve her new customer finding?
My 2 answers are going to be the same from last time.
Yeah.
Which it means they're important, because Facebook pages are business pages. And again, Facebook doesn't want us spamming everybody's feed. They're not seeing it. Just because you could have posted something super amazing, but only a 10th, if you're lucky, a 10th of the people who've liked your page will actually see it. So you've got to create some engagement, and lives are great. Doing a Facebook Live creates lots of engagement, and the more engaging something is, the more Facebook's going to filter it into those people's pages. 2, make that group, move them over. And 3, do that sponsored post. I sponsor a post every week. Something, maybe a Stampin' Up sale, an event I'm having. If my projects for my Facebook Live is going to be really cute, I'll sponsor that and say, join me on Friday. But it's not her fault that people aren't interacting. It's Facebook's fault. They aren't seeing it. People aren't seeing it because of the way Facebook has decided to use our business pages.
Okay, good. So Elson or Connie, do you have any comments on that same question? How would you advise them if they've taken their first big step and they're posting photos and projects, but they're not seeing any results?
Well, I would just say the only thing, I agree with what Erica said. So, and she's kind of the guru on that. So I just would make sure that on your business page, when you set it up, it sounds so simple, but I think I forgot when I first started a long time ago, but make sure you've categorized your page to crafts, because if somebody, you don't just magically appear. I wish I did. That'd be great. But I don't magically appear on someone's Facebook. So, but I will appear, hopefully, if they go, Canada crafters or something. So I hopefully would pop up then, and then they would find my page. So I would suggest that. And whether it's on a page or whether it's on a group, be consistent. I think we mentioned that. I think that should be the tagline, like hashtag be consistent. Just keep posting, it'll come.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback on that. Again, if you have if I had a downline who said, I've been posting on Facebook and I'm just not getting anything, and like Erica said, I'm going to kind of piggyback to what I said before about making sure that your posts are interesting. Make sure they're really visible and they're exciting. I can't just make a text post that says card class February 13th.
Right.
Woo, sign me up.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun. It's a boring post. So you need to make it really interesting. Find a funny graphic. I had one that I shared on stage, and it was like this, I don't know, little old mother-in-law going, and it said, create cards that would impress your mother-in-law. Come to the card class, come to my creative card class on February 13th at Java Express on 23rd Street. Get everything in there, but it's that graphic of that lady and the impress your mother-in-law that makes people go, whoop, what? Because that's not just tech. Remember, they're scrolling right by you, so you've got to make sure you're jumping out at them. And another thing I just want to kind of put out is, just because I say put out a funny post, okay, well, if you're not like the funny type, don't try to be funny. Don't try to be someone you're not. Be yourself. Guys, I can't even begin to tell you how exhausting it would be to try to be someone else. So if funny's not your thing, then try, if you're more elegant or vintage, make graphics and things that will pop at people. Allison kind of talked on it too. Building a name for yourself and building a brand, of course, is so important, but make sure it's a reflection of you and who you are. I always say too, on your Facebook page, put everything out there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Erica said she put out a card that she messed up on, and I love that. I think people need to see this is who I am, the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is it. Be authentic in your social media presence. It changes things. Again, it's the people want to know you, like you, and trust you. And when they see that you are human and you're not just out there putting on this pretty face and I do everything right the first time and all my cards are amazing. No, you know what? Be real, and you're going to gain loyal customers and you're going to gain fans. And I also want to go back, Dale, you were talking about how much time it takes. Oh my heavens. I mean, it could take, there's not like some magic number. I posted 30 times a day, and no, you could post 2 times a day and get the same thing that somebody posted 30 times a day. You just don't know where Facebook is putting you out there, that the right people. And again, talking about what Allison was talking about, you throw out the line and you wait for a bite. You never know where that bite's going to come.
Right. That's great advice. And I suppose you could surf Facebook pages and see what jumps out at you. And then you do similar things, right? Okay, let's go to the next question. This is about, I want to push a little past finding new customers and actually asking, what do you post? This is for Erica, because we're picking on Erica for some reason, but what sort of content have you found actually leads your online customers to make a purchase?
Well, I realized that orders don't just fall from heaven. They just don't show up. I had to actually give my customers a reason to order. I had to prompt them. Either I'm offering something, or there's a Stampin' Up! Sale, or I'm offering a solution. I now am doing a weekly class through Facebook Live, just like I would do locally. If they order, they get the make and takes for free. That's how I would do my local class too. Once I started offering them something for their order, and I don't mean bribery. I mean like they're a customer in real life. Why would a customer come to your house and put in an order? Well, because they came and did some cute projects, or because their friend was a host, or because there was an amazing sale. I have to prompt my customers to actually order. I have to give them a reason to order. And I also really try to give them solutions to things. You know, they need a reason to stamp and a reason to spend more money. You know, how many of us have so much stuff, but look what I can make for my Thanksgiving dinner table with this. I need to order that so I can make that. Or these teacher gift cards for teacher appreciation, or Valentine treats for the office. I've got to give them a solution to a need somewhere in their life.
Right. Great. That's a great idea. What about new customers now? What content, and Allison, we'll let you go first on this one. What content attracts new customers to you? What do you find? What content?
I was just typing an answer to somebody. Well, I do what Erica does, and I've done this for, I don't know, years and years. But I tell them what I offer them as for being my customer. So by being exclusive, not exclusive, but by coming to me, this is what I offer as a thank you. And you don't, as she said, it doesn't have to be a product, and it's not. It's a free PDF. Any purchase they make from me, they get it. It can be a $5 purchase or a $300 purchase. They're going to get free PDF by email. Facebook Live definitely attracts more people. Pinterest. Now, for me, I was really struck by what Erica said earlier, because she's right. It's where am I spending most of my time? And most of my time I was on Pinterest. So it's not surprising that that's where most of my traffic comes from, because that's where I'm putting most of my effort. So I find that Pinterest is my #1 referral. And YouTube. YouTube is still very popular. It's I had a customer yesterday who found me from a video I did probably 2 or 3 years ago. So it's kind of surprising. You think you have to be you know, fresh, and it's all they ever see, but they do go back once they find your channel and look. And I always feel like you have to go where they are. Like, where are these customers? They're somewhere. So go where they are and invite them. I like the word invite them to come where you are. And that's really, I don't know how to say it any differently. It's pretty much as simple as that. I also like what Connie said about being authentic, because when she says authentic, when I see Connie, she really means be yourself, because that is who Connie is. So it's not a fake authentic. It's not like putting on, this is who I am. It's about really, well, I guess that's what the word authentic means, but you know what I mean? It's not like pretending you're something you're not, because people will choose you because they like you, or they'll pass you by and go somewhere else because you're just not their cup of tea, and that's okay. So.
Okay, good, thanks, Allison. Connie and Erica, do you have anything to add?
I wanted to just talk about maybe a little bit different platform. You guys were talking about Facebook Lives, which I did for a while. I started having issues for me personally. It probably could be just the internet in my area, so I'm not bashing Facebook Live, but I was having trouble with it glitching out and freezing and all of this, and I was like, I'm done. But I just recently started working over, because I'm a YouTuber, so that's my main platform, but YouTube also has YouTube Live. And also a thing called YouTube Premiere. And I just started utilizing the YouTube Premiere, which is where I take one of my longer, bigger videos, probably something like what Erica was talking about, a class, you know, she's going to show these 3 projects. So this is a bigger video, and you can premiere them on YouTube, and then they can chat with you. And I just did one last night, and it was awesome. The video played. It was about a 45-minute video, I think. And I'm just typing away last night, boy, just chatting with everybody, and I got to connect with everyone. It was really fun. And then, of course, I can take that video, I can share it on Facebook, I can share it on my blog, I can put it wherever I want. But make sure you also notice those other types of platforms. And for me personally, I had to look, and again, I'm just speaking for myself, I had a lot more subscribers on YouTube than I did on Facebook. So for me, I was looking, we were talking about where do you find your customers and where are they finding you? Well, they were finding me on YouTube. So I said, I need to utilize YouTube more and YouTube Live and YouTube premieres over Facebook. Again, I'm just saying, look at both before, you jump in and try both of them and see what kind of engagement you get. So a little bit different than the answer that I shared at On Stage, but like I said, or what Allison said, it changes so fast. I mean, I think, in the time we've been on here, social media just changed again.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think you should also be looking at those other platforms. And those are also really good ways. You asked, where are they finding, where can, no, what was your question? Where
attracts new customers to you?
Attract new customer. I was trying to figure out, how do I get that back into the question? And so, yeah, find the different platforms, try the different ones, and see where they're finding you.
Good. I just want to say, I advise you, all you viewers, to make notes. This video will also be in Stampin' University, so you can go back and review. Don't worry about it if you've missed something, but there's a lot of good advice coming out. Let me ask you another question now. When Allison was talking, I was thinking about people coming to you and you're giving them a PDF or that sort of thing. When I'm searching for information about something new, I'll go to the internet, and I love to download a PDF that tells me about that. So here's the question: is I'm wondering about attracting non-stampers or new stampers. So how do you, or do you even try, like, what do you do to attract non-stampers or people new to stamping? And let me ask you that, Allison. I'll push that over to you.
Okay. Well, Connie sort of touched on this from a different, in a different question, but this is how I do it. I think when you're on your page, your Facebook page, you really need a variety of content. Like if I just put up, here's my pretty card. Don't you love my pretty card? Please buy everything and you can make this pretty card at home. It's not going to appeal to people. But if I have little quotes of the day or funny memes, or do you prefer coffee or tea? Or do you want a vanilla cone, a chocolate cone, or a twist? These are kinds of things that really engage people, and they may not be stampers. But then the next post will be a pretty card. So look at that. I've answered the question about the ice cream, and now I can, oh, that's a pretty card. So kind of that's how I engage people. Make sure you ask open-ended questions like Connie mentioned. Don't just put it up there. Ask a question, sort of like a call to action, right? Because if you're not asking them to engage with you, why would they engage, right? So it could be to make a purchase. It could just be, what do you think? And a comment. Or it could be, how about sharing this with someone who does craft? So that's how I would engage non-stampers on my Facebook page. Be on.
Can I add one thing to that too? Another really great way to find the non-stampers are to look at the events that are really popular and trending right now. So in my area, these wine and palette painting classes are really big. And I always sit back and I think, well, one, I would never put that painting up in my house because I can't even draw a stick figure. So no, but I look at those things and they're coming in droves. I mean, there are tons of people attending these classes. So my brain goes, okay, what can I offer these people that will make them go, ooh, let's go to her class.
Right.
And so, us stampers, we love to create shadow boxes and things like that. Hey, we can do the home decor thing. So I say, put those type of events on your calendar. Reach the people who would normally go to these wine and palette places and get them over to your class. Look for the trends. Whatever's hot, jump on it.
Right.
Just saying.
Right. Good advice. And so the idea is if you're always on cards, if you're always on that, then only someone who's looking for that is going to be attracted. But if you widen a little, right? If you widen a little, then your net is a little larger, And they may be attracted then to card making or things that you're offering as a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Let's shift a little bit now to social media and your live events. Do you have any advice for demonstrators who want to use social media to attract people to their live events, right? So we've talked about selling online and really managing your customers online, but quite a few demonstrators do live events and they're looking to attract new people. Eric, I'm going to ask you first about this one. Is there something you can do online to actually get people to your physical live event?
Yes, Facebook events. Everybody's creating a Facebook event. My daughter's school creates these Facebook events. It reminds us of, order your class picture by this date, and they pop up and you remember. The local cookie decorating place, I see their events all the time, and you can just click, yes, I want to go, and then Facebook reminds you. So for every local event I do, I create a Facebook event, and I invite everybody who I know locally who might be interested, and it keeps it in front of them. If I send it to them in an email and they open it among 200 emails, they might forget about it. But on Facebook, they're going to be constantly reminded about it. I have a downline who said as soon as she started creating those Facebook events, she saw a drastic increase in her local classes as well as the to-go options. Because people would see the class and think, oh, I want to be there, or look, my friend's going, so I'm going to go. I just really like that it keeps it there. You see it more often. It doesn't get buried on the counter with all the other mail or in your inbox. But every time you scroll through Facebook, not every time, but it'll be there. It'll remind you that it's coming up. So I recommend those for sure.
Good. Alice and Connie, do you have any comments on that question? How do you get them to your live events using social media?
I use, I'm pretty sure, I just used this a little while ago, but it just piggybacks on what Erica just said. I use an RSVP registration program called Eventbrite. It's free. And at the bottom of that, you can actually post directly to your Facebook as an event. So you've written it all out and you can just click, and it's a public event, and it'll just flip over and share it on your Facebook page. So just another, saves a step.
Right. So you would be typing Google, what is Eventbrite, right?
Sure.
That's the way you find out about that. Okay, Connie, do you have any comments about that actual one?
Just like Facebook has events, YouTube does too, and they have a community button there on your channel if you are a YouTuber. And that's where I like to post things and let people know. And YouTube sends them notifications, and I've had really great success with that lately. But another one that I think is a really big one, and this can go on your Facebook pages and things, but testimonials go a long, long way. I say all the time, I don't buy anything on Amazon until I've read all the reviews. And guess what? Your potential customers out there are the same way. When they start reading testimonies, if you can gather testimonies from your customers who have come to your classes, start posting those on Facebook. Tell them that this is what Janet said about it, and this is what Frida said about, share these things. It's a big one, especially with women, that they go, oh, if other people liked it, then I will too.
Right.
It's another way to build trust.
Right, that's great. And as you were all talking, I was thinking about something I learned at, I think it was on stage, or maybe before we even had on stage, we were at convention, and a presenter told the story about Aunt Mary's pumpkin pie. Do you remember that? Okay, it goes like this. So it's Thanksgiving, and Aunt Mary comes to you after you've eaten turkey and everything, right? And you're all just laying back, hardly able to move. And she comes to you with a piece of pumpkin pie, and she says, would you like some pumpkin pie? And you go, no, thanks. And then she says, well, I'm just going to take this pie and put it in the fridge so you can have it later. So this came to mind because I thought somebody's going to post an event and they're going to get nobody coming. That's okay. I'll just put this in the fridge because sometime later, right? It's that consistency. Don't give up just because that first one didn't happen. Don't give up because you didn't get a massive response from your first attempts.
Right.
It's consistent. It's, I don't want to say it, but it's months, years, right? So just remember Aunt Mary's pumpkin pie, right? We're just going to put it in the fridge and keep trying because they'll want it later.
Yep.
Okay, now last question. We'll do a lightning round. Hopefully this lightning round will be about 60 seconds each. But it's been great so far. I think the answers have been great. So if I'm a beginner, and I am a beginner on social media, for example, all I have is a personal Facebook page. And once in a while I post a picture. I go in and I look at pictures of my family and friends and that sort of thing. I'm really low level on the technical side. What would be your advice? Where do I start? I'm a new demonstrator. I have a hope that I can use social media to help my business. Where would I start if I'm at that level where I'm just a dabbler? And let's say, Connie, how about you go first?
I would say just create eye-catching posts. Just remember on Facebook, you're in a sea of a billion other posts. This information's just coming at them like crazy. You've got to create something that is going to catch their eye. Work on your photography skills. Do some Googling to see some videos on how to take good photos, because good photos get noticed. I'm saying that as if you're taking a picture of the card you created. So yeah, and oh, duh, Stampin' Up! Has like a billion images right there for us to use. Use those images. And you can even take the image and add some text to it in any photo editing program that you use, and use those photos on your social media sites. But just make sure they're good and eye-catching. That's something that'll make people stop. We got to get them to read it.
Allison, Erica, have you got a comment?
I would just say, as soon as you have that business page, make that group page and don't overthink it. Don't obsess about settings and your header, and just do it. And you can figure those things out and tweak them as you go. Overthinking is a huge problem. Don't overthink it. Just do it.
Right.
Done is better than perfect.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
There's a saying that an ant is more powerful when it's moving than a bull when it's standing still. Yay! Okay, Allison.
Well, I think they've covered it for Facebook, but if you want to know if you're a beginner, what I would start at after Facebook, it's blogging. So, and if you're using the DBWS, you need a store. So, you know, I know people can buy from us without a store, but if you're in business online, you need to invest in a DBWS for the store alone. So that would be my advice. And make sure your store, the link to where they can shop, because you can click on a Facebook page, you can include a shop button that goes directly to your store, to your DBW.
Great. That's great. I just want to make a couple of comments. So we've talked about everything you post should have a purpose, right? And guides your customers to your event or to your store. The advice was start small, get a following, then expand. And the last piece of advice that I picked up on today was simple, right? So keep your project simple so that they can say, I can do that. And then they're going to be motivated to actually carry on, connect with you, start to buy product through you, and that sort of thing. I noticed one question that we're not actually going to answer, but I'm going to direct you. I'm going to make a mention about this. Is the question was, what is the Stampin' Up! Policy about boosting on Facebook? I'm not going to answer that, but I'm going to ask all the viewers to make sure that they're aware of Stampin' Up! Policies, and they are in the demonstrator manual, or you can phone demonstrator support and ask them to help you. Stampin' Up! Does have policies about how to use social media, and you need to be familiar with them so that you are in compliance. So I think actually I've been recording this, and I'm going to stop the recording now because I have a couple of things to say.